Okay, that should be everyone for now. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So today, as you know, is the multiple choice portion. So we're going to cover how the exam will look like for the multiple choice portion. So in total, the entire exam is 3 hours long, and you get breaks. So you'll be given an hour and 35 minutes to complete the multiple choice section. The section is divided into two parts: the reading portion, where you will answer questions based on various texts, and the listening portion, where you listen to pre-recorded interviews or conversations. So you'll get 40 minutes for 30 questions on the reading portion and 55 minutes for the 35 questions on the listening portion. The listening portion is further divided into two parts: a comparison section, where you will have print materials alongside sets of audio sources, and a regular interpretation section, such as where you may find interviews, presentations, conversations, or news reports that you'll be asked comprehension questions on. So here are the themes that you may be familiar with if you are in or have taken Spanish 4. So you have the 6 major themes of the year, followed by various sub-themes. So be prepared to talk about these throughout the exam. And the PowerPoint will be posted on Schoolview, so you can look over it, by the way. So we'll have our first teacher.
Hi, so the picture on the left is from an app called Spanish Dict. It's a app that helps you translate words from English to Spanish or vice versa. So the app can sound out word phrases to help you with pronunciation. It can be used to differentiate between formal and informal tense, and it's also useful a tool for when you're studying. So some tips to prepare or speak Spanish whenever possible. Practice at home or at school. So don't just make school a learning environment. You could also learn at home. And then you could study new words at home as well as at school. Condition yourself to learn at both home and school. And then write down unfamiliar words in the back of your notebook with their definitions. And then at the end of the school year, you could take the pages and the definitions and turn them into a Quizlet to kind of test yourself at the end of the year. An example is: mi mamá fue ayer a la casa de Osiris para comer limón con granada. So in this sentence, if I didn't know what limones were, I would use context clues to think about fue, which means went, and comer, which means to eat, to conclude that my mom went somewhere yesterday to eat something. This is where words looking familiar is handy too. I would then assume that limon sounds like lemon, so she ate something with limones at Osiri's house.
I'm Jacob. I'm one of the teachers for the reading comprehension section. So first thing before I start anything, you can't really spend very long in the question because you're just not going to have enough time. For this section in particular, you have around 40 minutes for 30 questions. So you get around 80 seconds for each question, but it also takes a lot of time to read and understand each reading. So you'll get even less time. And even other parts like the email response, you only get 15 minutes to read it and even write the response. But we'll go more over that in a different section. And also practice. It doesn't just apply to this section, but to every other one. And practicing is just the best way to prepare for the exam. So using previous AP exams or asking Senora Torres for more practice, which she generally does give a lot, if I recall. And you can even ask her for more AP classroom assignments if you need so.
Hi guys, I'm Freddie. I'm the other teacher for the multiple choice part. So a big part of the reading comprehension section is that there's going to be different types of text. So you're going to see a lot of journals. You're also going to see a lot of articles, which can be about like really anything. That's probably the most broad one. There's also a lot of news and ads. I remember on the one I took, there was a lot of, I think there were 1 or 2 ads about like planes, or there were a lot of ads about like traveling. So everything you see is really going to tie into the temas that you learned about. And then another one is letters. I don't think there's going to be a lot of letters, but like I said, there's going to be letters based on the different themes that you learned about, like traveling. There's going to be a lot of traveling, probably. There's also going to be maps, charts, and tables. So for that one, it's basically like analyzing what was on the data in the graph or table.
So before I go to the Kahoot, there isn't really much to say about the multiple choice section, at least for reading comprehension. It's basically just English comprehension, except it's just in a different language. So general tips still apply. Read slowly, don't try rushing through it if you can, but you also have to manage your time really well learning this section. Try using any kind of words that you might understand for context. Even the smallest things might help you through the exam. And then for our Kahoot, the reading part is just going to be an advertisement. So we'll load a PDF file into the chat, and you'll get around 3 minutes to read it and understand it. And each question in the Kahoot will be around, I believe I gave you around maybe 60 seconds for each question. And we'll start the timer as soon as the PDF is posted.
Okay, so the PDF should be in the chat. So we'll give you all a little bit of time to open it, and then I'll set the timer for 3 minutes so y'all can read it, and then we'll start the Kahoot. Okay, so your 3-minute timer to look over the advertisement is starting now. Okay, that's odd. Is it not in the chat? Okay, since we had some technical difficulties, I will reset the timer. Thank you all for your patience. Minute and a half? $30 seconds. And that's time. So now we will have a Kahoot asking you comprehension questions about what you just read. Each question you will be given 1 minute to answer. This is intended to mimic the timing of the exam. So this will be my section. Okay, so for the reading section, these are just some tips that helped me when I took the exam 2 years ago. So you all may be used to advanced reading tests that Senora Torres puts out, where you feel kind of lost and confused. All the wording is strange and all of that. So in comparison to tests you've taken, the AP reading section is really straightforward. So as long as you're paying attention to your lessons and your vocabulary, and you just have a good idea of what's going on in the passage, you should be fine. But there may be times where you're stumped on a couple of questions, and this may be due to weird vocabulary, a lack of understanding as to the purpose of a passage or what's going on in the passage. And there sometimes just might be one tricky sentence in either a passage or in a question that really tricks you up. So to help with these are some strategies that help me through the class and through the exam itself. So try to understand the context of what the section you're being stumped on. So what is the gist of the passage? What is the passage talking about? What stance is the author likely to be taking based on some words you may see? So using words around like a confusing section, like a sentence or like a paragraph, what's likely to be happening? What's in between point A and B? So use keywords to try to understand the purpose of a passage and try to understand the author's stance on any issue. This is where your vocabulary and some of your idiomatic phrases that you may have learned over the course of the year comes in. So this will help when it comes to inference questions. So sometimes if you're going to apply all this and you try your very best, but you still can't answer the question, that is completely fine. So if it's giving you too much trouble, come back to it, put a little star by the question and move on. But beforehand, sometimes you may run out of time. So just like lightly indicate which answer you think is best and move on in case you won't be able to come back to it. So the listening portion, I used to absolutely hate the listening portion because I could never understand what they're saying. Sometimes they speak with really thick accents or they speak really fast, and it's difficult to try and answer questions based on that if you can barely understand them. But here's some things that I used on the exam itself. So you do get a little bit of time to look through the questions before they play the recording. So look at the questions and read some of the keywords so you get a sense of what might be happening during the recording. So evaluate the topic that's being talked about and look for words that may give you a bit of a hint onto the speaker's stance. Like there's some questions that will ask you, like, if you do you think the author would agree with this? Or did the author say this? So these may give you a little bit of clue before the audio even plays. So when the audio is being played for the first time, you're not going to understand all of it, but it will be played a second time. So the first time through, listen for some keywords that may suggest a stance on a topic or prior experience with the topic, especially in interviews. And eliminate answers as best you can, or jot down some of the words they say that seem significant. So when the audio plays for the second time, see if the speaker's words will directly answer a question or listen for the sentence around the keywords that you picked up the first time. So I like to think of like the first time as like kind of like a trial run where you kind of like get a handle of what the speaker is saying. And then the second time kind of solidifies any answers that you may put. So after the audio is played for the second time, that's it. So you have this time to finalize your answer choices. So if you're really happy with the answers you put down, that is amazing. But do check again, refresh your memory, whatever helps. So if there are still a few questions that you really can't put an answer for, the best thing you can do at that point is make an educated guess. So you aren't penalized for wrong answers. So put something down. Anything is better than nothing. But be sure to try at least. Eliminate answers that you think might not be correct so that you reduce that 25% chance you have of getting the question right. So if you can remember bits and pieces, or if you wrote down some of the words in the conversation, use them to help you with your answers. So there is a comparison portion on the listening section, but it's really not that different if you've taken the PSAT or the SAT. It's not very different. Yay, College Board monopoly. So you will see a variety of print materials alongside the audio, such as like a small passage or maybe a graph. So you may be asked, similarly to the SAT, how the print can support or refute a point of the audio, or something similar, like would the speaker of the audio and the author of this passage agree with each other? So expect questions comparing the information presented in both. So again, try to remember keywords from the audio and use them to support information in the print materials. Okay, that is all we have for y'all today. Again, we will post the PowerPoint on the website, so we'll be able to cover more in depth the questions from the Kahoot. So we do have an ending survey. That's what we'll use to take attendance. So this is the link, and that's a QR code to help. And when I move past the slide, I'll put the link in the chat. Be sure you fill this out before you go.
And if you have any questions, feel free to ask right now.
Okay, so I'll put the link in the, or I'll go back to the slide so you can see it, but you can fill out the survey and then leave. But just as a reminder, if you're planning to attend our next session, it is February 23rd, and that will cover the writing portion of the exam. Remember that you'll have to attend 2 sessions for 1 enrichment credit. So you can sign up at the URL below, or you can find the link on our website. And if you've already filled out the survey, you are free to go. We'll see you next time.
I have a question. How many teachers are there? Is it 4 or 5?
It's only I should probably clarify, when we say teachers, we mean the speakers we had through the slides. So whoever was speaking throughout the slides is a teacher.
For sure. Thank you.
No problem.
Are there any other questions?
Does Jefferson count as a teacher? Okay, thank you.
We'll be sure to clear that up next time to avoid further confusion, but anyone who spoke during the slides is going to be one of your teachers.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.